The Nuggets may have just lost the Western semifinals. This is your Denver Sports Daily for May 14th.
The biggest stories, the latest news. It's Denver Sports Daily.
Another terrible collapse in the fourth quarter held the Nuggets back from taking a 3-2 series lead before Game 6. And now that's back-to-back fourth quarter losses that the Nuggets have had that have stopped them from winning this series, honestly, because if they would have won that game on Monday, if they would have stood firm or Sunday, and held their lead in the fourth quarter, they would have gone up 3-1. And then they could have iced the game tonight, yesterday. But they did neither of those things. They ended up losing both of those games, allowing the Thunder to gain control of the series. And instead of the Nuggets winning in 5 games, the Thunder are up 3-2 before Game 6 heading back to Denver. And it's more prevalent than ever that Nikola Jokic has a massive lack of help on this team. I've been one of those people who has stood by the players on this team: Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, Christian Brown. I've stood by those teammates and those players, saying that they are great for Nikola Jokic. But yesterday was a complete lack of effort all the way around, in the fourth quarter especially. In the fourth quarter, in fact, Nikola Jokic was the only player to make a basket other than Jamal Murray, who had a layup in garbage time, the garbagest of garbage time. It didn't matter at all. So the only person to score in the fourth quarter basically was Nikola Jokic, who shot 4 for 6. And get this, the rest of the team shot 1 for 15, and that one was Jamal Murray. Terrible. I mean, you got one guy who's shooting 4 for 6, and the rest of your starting unit is shooting 1 for 15 in a game where you have a 12-point lead and you end up losing. You end up giving it away. I mean, the Nuggets, again, held as much as a 12-point lead in the third quarter, but they went so ice cold in the fourth, it wasn't even funny. The Nuggets didn't record a single field goal for over 7 minutes in the fourth quarter. That's terrible. There's no words to describe how disgusting that is. It really is one of the worst efforts I've ever seen in a game as important as Game 5 against the best team in the league, the favorites to win the finals, the Oklahoma City Thunder. This needed to be a must-win game, and they didn't treat it like that at all. Now, Nikola Jokic had one of the best playoff performances of his career, and I'm getting so sick and tired of talking about Nikola Jokic breaking records, having incredible games, and still losing. He had 44 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists. He joined Russell Westbrook as the only players with 40-plus points, 15-plus rebounds, 5-plus assists, and 5-plus three-point makes in a playoff game. He was Nikola Jokic. That's the best way to describe his performance yesterday. There was a moment in the game, in the final 2 minutes, where the Nuggets were down by 3 points, 4 seconds left on the shot clock, and Nikola Jokic spins his whole body. It was very Lakers-esque. You know, you saw him doing this against the Lakers just a couple seasons ago, and last season too. He spun his whole body from the three-point line, put up a moon ball, went all the way up to the rafters, and still made it in to tie up the game. And then what did the Nuggets do? They don't play defense on the three-point shooter in the corner and let Jalen Williams hit a three-point shot to put them back up by 3 with less than a minute remaining. And then they go down. Michael Porter Jr. airballs a three-point shot. And then the Thunder come down. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, before there's even a pass in the play, he hits a wide open three-pointer from the top of the key, putting the Nuggets down by 6, again with less than a minute remaining. The game got away from them so fast in those final 2 minutes. It was just disgusting, again, to watch. But, you know, his supporting cast, Nikola Jokic, that is, besides Jamal Murray, none of them showed up. Jamal ended up having 28, 4, and 3, but nobody else had over 10 points in the game. And I really want to call out Michael Porter Jr. here, because what a terrible performance. You know, we've seen games so far this postseason where he's just been disgusting, terrible. And this is the third time now that I've said the word disgusting, because that's how I feel about this game. It was all terrible all the way around. But Michael Porter Jr. only had 2 points on 1 for 7 shooting. And in that clutch time, he missed 2 back-to-back three-pointers that would have tied the game up. And what really hurts is that teams that fall behind to a 3-2 deficit only win the series less than 20% of the time. So now the Nuggets are in a terrible position. They're not likely to win this series at all. And this might have been, the thing that hurt the Nuggets the most. This might have really ended it. And that's why the title is, did the Nuggets just lose this series? Because they most likely did off of that terrible closeout game. Now the Nuggets are headed back to Denver to play a game 6 at home in a game that they'll have to win if they want to stay alive to force a game 7, because that's the best case scenario for the Nuggets right now, is a game 7 back in OKC. That's the only scenario that the Nuggets can hope for. It's really just disgusting and sad. And that's the 4th time I've said disgusting. Again, that's just how I feel about this game. It was just so sad to watch them give up another late lead in a game. And they're going to have to fix that. They're going to have to stop their fatigue from getting to them in this next game, again, if they want to stay alive. Now, moving on, the NFL schedule release is happening today. A little bit of good news. Now, throughout the day, some leaks will start to come through as who the Broncos will be playing during the different weeks of the season. But the official release of the 2025 NFL schedule will happen tonight at 6 p.m. Now, we already know a few of the dates for some of the Broncos games, such as the Christmas Day game at Arrowhead against the Chiefs. And the Broncos are getting a game in London in week 6 against the New York Jets. But we also found out who the Broncos will take on in week 1 on September 7th. They will take on the Tennessee Titans in Cam Ward's debut. Now, this one's going to be interesting because, Cam Ward is expected to come out here and start for the Tennessee Titans. But do the Titans really want to put their number 1 overall pick up against the defense that led the league with the most sacks last season? And not only that, this defense has gotten better. I want to see what the Titans do. They might sit Cam Ward for a week and say, we don't want you going out there and taking 6 sacks in your first debut, or in your first game. We don't want to see that at all. So with those 3 that we know, here are the remaining opponents that we'll see in 2025. At home, the Broncos will see the Chiefs, Chargers, and Raiders, of course. The Jaguars, Cowboys, Bengals, Packers, and Giants. The Giants one is interesting because that's a Russell Wilson game. Hopefully this year he'll be able to actually play at Mile High instead of dodging the smoke like he did last year. That was upsetting to watch. Seeing the Steelers in week 1, that would have been the perfect, game overall to see Russell Wilson coming back, taking on Bo Nix. But the Broncos are still getting lucky. They're getting to take on the Giants with Russell Wilson game at Mile High. I cannot wait to see that. And then on the road, they're taking on the Chargers and Raiders, of course. We know that they're taking on the Chiefs on Christmas Day, and then they're also going to play the Texans, Colts, Eagles, and Commanders on the road. A Jaden Daniels versus Bo Nix matchup. That's definitely going to be must-see TV, but it's going to happen throughout the day. You're going to start to see leaks. If you're watching Twitter, they're going to come out one by one. You'll start to see it throughout the day. But the real, again, schedule release is at 6 p.m. That's when it'll all be broadcast and you'll see it live. I cannot wait to see what this looks like. And I'll definitely be back tomorrow, recapping what it really looks like. But moving on, yesterday, MLB lifted a ban that has kept some of the greatest players of all time out of the Hall of Fame. Now, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred made a historic decision yesterday, removing deceased players such as Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson off the permanently ineligible list. Now, Pete Rose was, of course, banned from the Hall of Fame and banned from baseball for betting on games while he was the manager of the Cincinnati Reds. And Shoeless Joe Jackson because of the infamous Black Sox scandal and their alleged involvement in fixing the 1919 World Series for them to end up winning. Now, Manfred made this huge decision yesterday, ruling that the punishments of banned individuals ends upon their death. Now, maybe that sounds a bit harsh, but Major League Baseball is known to be just that. They are harsh. They're strict. The Hall of Fame is a sacred place to get to, and it's fair to say, you can't get into it when you're alive. You broke a rule, but that rule ends when you pass away. Now, this news also comes soon after Pete Rose passed away at the age of 83 back in September, just a couple months ago. And this is a great step forward in the sport. Now, the league has kept some of the greatest and most notable players out of the Hall of Fame for longer than most people's lives. You've seen some of these players. Pete Rose, again, there were people who watched Pete Rose and never got to see him get to the Hall of Fame, and now he most likely will. Same with Shoeless Joe Jackson. You'll see that moving forward. And again, this is not anything, that you're hoping for, because again, it ends when the ban ends when you pass away. But now this will open up, Barry Bonds will most likely get into the Hall of Fame one day. Again, a great step forward in this sport. It really is. And again, it may seem harsh that it ends when you pass away, but at least they're giving them some accountability, and people, these legends who are banned from the game, have a little bit of a hope that even after they pass, they can still be recognized by the MLB. Now that'll do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I will see you all tomorrow, recapping some of the Broncos games. I definitely want to go through what the schedule is going to look like. Maybe we'll get a little bit of an early sneak peek at what the win-loss ratio might be, and then previewing a huge Nuggets game tomorrow. They need to win this game to stay alive and force a Game 7. But that'll do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.